Hello and welcome back to Easy Boards again in the gold section, which you know you're in because we're now at a different level. We're still on a big board, but we are now at jigsaw piece number 9. Right, now being in the gold section, do you remember what the jigsaw piece number 9 was about? And that, yes, was all about control. Right, so what means is we're going to explain it in a minute, but this time as well we're going to be fairly quick, but it's a little bit extra minute too. I'll explain in about a second, and we're going to do it in 8 minutes, right? And in those 8 minutes, it's also important that the example we're using is like the car, is we're going to explain that as well. So it's even like being in the equivalent of a car, we're going to explain that to you. So the important thing is knowing that we set that up, but is this right for you? And the single word to say is, oh my goodness, yes. After all the work you've put in so far, we're going to show you and explain to you how you can make that go further and work better for you in an interesting way, because it's very important. But when you do something like this, you've built the foundations, you've built the walls up, you've put a tight roof on the top, and you can start actually being inside something and progressing in a nice and easy way. But what we're going to do is we're going to explain it. So what I'm going to explain to you is how we're going to do this in the most efficient way possible. We are going to be using the big board, and you are going to be pleased and happy to add this to your pieces of paper as well. So we're working together on it. You can also understand that we're doing it in privacy, so you don't have to decide, you just have to think about it, right? So you're also going to decide if you want to continue with Easy Boards going forward, and that's entirely up to you, right? But this is all just about an example of how we operate and how it works, and hopefully it will help you understand things, right? So today we're going to use just a single pen, very short, but I'm going to use something else, right? And we don't need any information this time for you to think about strongly. We don't need any numbers to come up with. We just need you to observe, okay? So we're going to be quick and we're ready to go. Are you ready to go? Yes? Okay, fine. Right, straight here, because it's like having the car to drive. And what's in that is that you have started and you got in the car initially with people, you wanted to know who you're with. You then realise that driving the car, I need to be in control. But there's also things important, like I need to have the fuel in the car to get me there. I need to know from the directions I'm going that I can see further forward and I can have a proper direction. And that means that I need to have maps and I need to know where I'm going to be. But also it's important that when I'm driving, I'm not doing it 70 miles an hour or too fast. I'm driving at a normal, safe speed to get to where I want to be. And when I get there, the end result is I can get to where I want to be in the example that we're doing. But the important thing is what do we mean using that example? How does it translate to this? So what you've just done is you've just done an incredible thing by putting this all together. But you've also raised things and you've scored things and you've scheduled things. So in the gold section, you're now in a better way to make decisions if you'd been a member and you'd worked it through. But why is that? Because, Madame and Monsieur, we have got something for you here that is now the important element, right? So what is all this about? Well, it's not technically a dessert or a main meal, but it is something for you to follow through all the way. What you did in the first bit, we worked on the numbers to use to get the growth position and tell us what the growth position was. So what you can do, you've now got the position that even on the growth position, you've got something that you could tweak and control and take further to get the result you want. But it wasn't just about the growth position. It was also about, when we asked earlier on, about the taxation position. We understand that you're being taxed there, but it could also that you could tweak the taxation later on and perhaps get a better result. But not just that. We also asked you, what is the asset base and how much money have you built up? And that is the whole thing, is what you're holding on to at the moment, but it might make you make decisions going further forward on what exactly you're trying to get to. But not just that, because what you're in control of, you also, when you were all the way back, we worked out and asked, how much do you earn and want to receive even if you stopped earning to give you the same quality of life? And that is something that you could start altering up and down and changing to get the exact figure, but you know what's possible and what isn't. But next on that, even that, it's also about when was the age that was going to happen or we were going to try for. But we could also slide that up and down and change that and vary it. So what you've just done there, if you've just done something that puts you in control to start doing things that could not just on one item, but on several items take you to the surprising results a lot of people don't realize you can get, right? But it's not only that, I'm also going to introduce something else to you. So it's not these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 elements that you could start tweaking and pulling together and making sure it works. It's also about another very important thing. And it's only a very small thing that really that I'm going to, because there's 12 items that are very important to work on and you've got a few of them. But the other one is all about something else that actually you're not in control in, but you have to take on board and just hand it. And that is a big I. And what the big I is, believe it or not, the big I is all about inflation. And obviously that's related to growth, but it is something that you have technically hardly any control of, practically no control of whatsoever at all. So what you've just done is I've not just brought these things in here, I've actually included something that I can't control but I'm aware of, right? So what we want to know next is look what you've done. I'm going to give you a big tick on this one just there. You've done it. We don't even need Mr. Checklist just yet because what he's done, you've already built the checklist of things just to keep checking and see where it is. And once you've got that information, you'll be able to make better decisions all the way through. And however time you've got left, whether it's very short or it's very long or you're completely different to the example, it doesn't matter. That's what I'm expecting you to be like. And this is what the example is about. So we're not just going to stop there. I'm going to take this further because what I'm going to do is, even though you're in the gold section all the way through the example, we're going to take this back to the project plan that we put together and we're going to look at the whole thing and score it, right? But then I'm going to take you to another level within the gold and I'm going to sort that for a second. But the most important bit is you've worked this through, you've watched it put together, and this is something I strongly recommend you should follow because I love doing it and I want to help as many people as possible. And I understand it's all about the emotional side as much as it is the money, right? So I'll see you in a second. Bear with me.